You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bridge After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bridge After Show.
Hey guys, and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bridge After Show. I'm Dave Klein. Over there, all the way to the side,
I'm Tommy Rasera.
Yes, hi, and I am Paige Sullivan.
And guys, today we're talking the finale. Finally finding out a lot of things that are going to be happening in the next season. I think there's some cool build-ups there, specifically involving, a little bit of money.
Just a tad
bit of money. But before we get into the money aspect, which we'll talk about, which I find personally, I think that was the most exciting storyline of this episode. We've got Charlotte, Ray, and now Monty
And
Cesar having a meeting. Having a meeting together, and they're all going to be working together. So apparently Monty is still, he's kind of just switching sides. He's like, whatever, I'll work with whoever. It doesn't matter.
Has anybody outright said, hey, Monty, FYI, Graciella's dead?
Yeah,
or is it just understood she's missing, she's not there?
I don't think he missed a beat since the Graciela death. He's on to the next clients.
He's like, Graciella's dead, whatever.
He's got to make the money.
Yeah,
got to make the money.
Got to make that money, because that's what he does for a living, making 10%. What exactly, is he just a liaison between two different parties?
Yes. I think he is the go-to guy for both Fausto and her.
Yeah, what world is Ray in where he doesn't know that 10% is the industry standard?
I know, seriously, where's Ray been the whole time?
Tampa.
He's from Tampa, where the industry standard is 0%.
Maybe 5%, I don't know.
5%.
I don't know why Charlotte even wanted to be associated with him. When she first found out about this tunnel and, her husband died, and then she calls Ray to come, if you know Ray's kind of a shady guy, Ray's the guy who's transporting, apparently we learn, cocaine in Miami on a speedboat. I mean, why that guy?
I mean, I think Charlotte really didn't have much experience in the illegal activities thing. And maybe that's the thing. Her husband was better at it than she was, and this is like new to her.
Well, do you think she invited Ray, one, to seduce him, and two, to have him take care of everything? Or do you think she just brought him in?
Well, she went to prom with him, didn't she?
Yeah, I think initially it was just like...
I thought it was a sex thing.
Yeah, I think initially it's like a sex thing, a comfort thing, just get someone like there from her past who she has history with. I think really it's just a comfort thing at first, and she's kind of been thrown into this, and it's kind of Breaking Bad for anybody.
It's just convenient, but it's just convenient that the guy that she chose to comfort her somehow has this past in criminal activity and can be of use to her working with the Mexican cartel, basically. I just don't... Seems convenient.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but I think it's just, I don't know. But the thing that we get is, Charlotte she found out in the previous episode about Ray muff diving. So she calling him out, and I like that, her just straight up calling him out for everything that he did wrong about muff diving and Tim and all that stuff. And then I like the attitude she gives when Ray goes to slap her ass, and she's like, you work for me now. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, she really has changed. She's, like we said, she's kind of broke bad, I guess. I guess that's the new saying for when you were a good person and you go bad. But she really has changed. She's taken on a new persona. She's
totally new
large and in charge. She's not afraid. She's the new Graciela, only way hotter.
Yeah.
I guess.
But kind of probably not as good as Graciela, though.
No, because Graciela just sat there eating her fried chicken wings, yelling at people.
Yeah, but I guess if you had to muff dive one of the two... Graciela all the way.
Oh gosh. No, but
the
I don't know.
Other thing though, I really like this thing for Cesar.
Yeah,
Cesar was rocking this episode in my mind.
I don't like it. I think he was the good guy. He was the innocent guy. Just
he always
keeping
knew
his
what was
mouth
going on, though.
But he was keeping his mouth shut. He was just doing what he was told.
I think that's still what this is, though. I think it's still like
he's taking a huge role now, though.
But maybe he had this huge of a role before.
He may have. Yeah, he might have.
And now he has to work with this gringo.
Yeah, I like it when he makes fun of Ray Ray. It's actually...
And he calls him Ray Ray.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Ray Ray.
I think this was his breakout episode, though. I think he'll be a big player in season 2.
I agree. I mean, he'll have to be now because he's involved in this whole business. He's what is it? An employee of Millwright Transportation.
So Ryan Whittleton saying that he thinks that it's likely that Ray happened to be the only guy that she knew who was into the world of like all the legal world stuff. So maybe it's just someone that she could trust to know how to deal with the situation.
Maybe.
And very poorly handle it.
Yeah, we don't get much insight into Charlotte, but I feel like we only get bits and pieces of her every episode, and we just have to put them together. But she's definitely going to become, a big player next season.
But she's becoming a big player, but she just doesn't really know what she's doing, and it's very clear. And I mean, eventually we get Caesar driving with Ray. Caesar clearly kind of knows what to do, and
actually, he was wrong.
Well, he was wrong. That's true. That's a good point.
He was wrong.
And Ray was, that's a good point. And Ray was right about, like, just don't act sneaky, because that's when you're going to get caught, as if you're acting sneaky.
Here's the thing. ATF is already on their case. ATF already knows they have a tunnel. ATF knows they're doing illegal things. So it would have been a good idea to quit while you're ahead. They've already put bugs in the guns you transported to Mexico in a tunnel. You think they don't have eyes on you?
They have no idea. What are you talking about?
But that's what I don't understand. We are aware of the bugs. We know that Tim was involved with ATF. How can you not be concerned that they are still watching you and watching what you're doing?
There's just bad criminals, I think.
Yeah, it's bad criminals.
They're awful criminals.
I'm not. Another thing about Charlotte too. I'm not really. She's not intimidating at all. Like, yeah, sure, she just killed Tim at point blank range, but there's something about it. It's not. I can't take her seriously as this villain. You know,
Like
she
she's
would have
playing
killed Ava
tough.
at point blank range too.
Yeah, we
she would
discussed
have.
this.
She would have.
She would have done
They
that.
should have sent her out instead of Hugo.
Yeah, poor Hugo.
Seriously. Poor Hugo. But we do get this guy who presumably, I think you're right, presumably is probably from the ATF.
What's his name?
His name is Arliss Frome. Arliss Frome.
From T.
Two O's.
With two
Two
O's.
O's.
Arliss Frome with two O's, if you look at the way his name is spelled, which is strange. But Arliss Frome, who is, I believe, from the ATF, and Charlotte assumes he's from the FBI. I don't know why she wouldn't assume ATF, because she knew that's what it was, too. She knew it was an ATF thing. Didn't she?
Well, she said FBI.
Yeah.
But I meant like in previous episodes.
When she knew what Tim was doing.
Yeah, she
I
knew
don't
that was
know.
an ATF.
I think she just knew he was being sneaky.
But I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, like, we don't know 100% that he is ATF. We're just assuming he's ATF.
He could be the new guy just sending money letters to people. I mean, he could be.
Yeah, he could be.
He could be the new David Tate.
He could be.
I think we need a new David Tate. That's the thing.
I think we're getting one.
I hope so. I hope that's what the dollar thing is. The dollar thing. Sorry, Euro. Sorry, Euro. My bad.
I think there's a bigger person than David Tate involved.
There's gotta be.
But it should have peeked his head out. Well, I mean, maybe he did this episode, but I think it should have been established.
But maybe David Tate was working with him. Maybe David Tate was just a part of the puzzle.
I mean, I hope so, because a lot of those deaths that happened during the whole mass murder thing
Had nothing to do with
had
Marco.
nothing to do with Marco, had nothing to do with that revenge thing. Like, they were really, like, there was that intrigue between the bridge and what was going on. There was a political thing going on at first, and all of a sudden it just switched to being about Marco, and the deaths were based on Marco. So I feel like there's got to be somebody else.
We started out concerned about the girls in Juarez. We've come full circle. We're concerned again about the girls in Juarez. But in between, you're right. Like, even those voice messages, why does one death of a white woman matter more than the hundreds of deaths of Mexican girls? So
that doesn't add up for David Tate at all.
David Tate never mentioned that once. He never really was like, oh, well, what about the law, and what about this, or what about that? But then again, he is the one who had the body of the judge and had the body of Cristina Fuentes.
Yeah.
So is he just a piece of the puzzle, and he used whatever he was doing to gain access to Marco and to bring Marco down?
I feel like he's got to be a piece of the puzzle, and that's what I hope they do continuing this second season. That's what I'm hoping for.
And we've been picked up for a second season. So.
And we have been picked up for a second season. So let's go ahead and talk about the beginning of the episode that we have, which is Ava and Hugo, who we mentioned. Ava's in his car, completely drugged up, still in pain, and some mysterious car drives past and some mysterious man tells Hugo to take care of the situation and to kill her, and throws him a gun to kill her with. And it doesn't quite happen. So after that, we get Hank Wade riding around horses with Sonya, and they're talking about retirement. And Hank Wade has been contemplating retirement, and Sonya doesn't want to retire because she wants to be able to take this case, and she knows, she's obviously good friends with Hank, but she also knows that she can kind of talk Hank into giving her cases she wants. He's the one guy who's nice to her in the office, who will throw her a bone.
And he's also the guy, when she does something illegal, she calls him and asks for help, which isn't normal of most bosses.
Yeah. Who do you think would be the number two if Wade retired? Who do you think would step up? Like, is there number two there?
No, I think it would be someone new, honestly.
It'd be Coop.
Cooper? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
I don't think Cooper is able to handle that, honestly. I think it would be somebody new.
Okay.
Or from like a different place, somebody who comes in and says we're going to change things here, you know, and that would greatly affect Sonya and Marco's relationship and the cases they work on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I imagine it'd have to be someone new for that sake because it would be an interesting shakeup of.
But I don't see that happening. Just putting that out there, I don't see Wade retiring anytime in the next season.
Well, I'd imagine maybe like end of the second season.
End of the second season, but not next season.
I wonder why he was talking about it so much, though. I mean,
Build
he's
it
brought
up. I think it's like throwing that out there, throwing that as
eventually
a seed.
he'll be out.
Right, you know, you got to plant a seed for the future. So I think it's planting a seed for
Good
future.
thing though is I don't think he'll ever be completely out of the picture as he is somewhat of a father figure to Sonya outside of the precinct.
Oh yeah, totally. He's gonna stay there in some regard. Maybe Sonya will go to him for advice on things.
Right.
But we get Marco in the next scene. Marco's back in his own bedroom. So now he's finally back in his own bedroom.
Moving on.
But still carrying around a picture of Goose with him.
I'm sure he will for his whole life.
Yeah,
I think he will.
But so we get Marco, he's back, and then he ends up coming to Sonya and telling her about and this is what we saw in the season the preview from last week, which is him telling her about Ava showing up in the El Juarez police station. That doesn't make sense saying the El Juarez police station because the means El. So in El Juarez police station.
Yeah.
So him kind of confiding in her and admitting to her that he can't trust his captain.
Well, he knows he can't trust his captain. He knows he has to tread lightly. He knows that. Sonya doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So Marco tries to make it very apparent to her that this is something that we really shouldn't be dabbling in. We shouldn't be sticking our noses in it because it's dangerous and we have to be very careful. Because for Sonya, it's black and white.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand what's going on in Juarez. She doesn't understand the corruption that is taking place in that police station and in the city in general.
But they're the police. They're the good guys.
She has no clue.
She's so
completely
naive.
clueless.
Even when Marco beats up Hugo.
Yeah.
And she says he beat him half to death, which he did not. He just punched him a bunch in the
It was
face.
like one
Apparently all he did was break his nose.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he was beating the crap out of him, but those
when you were
those
out of
Juarez cops though, they got
They're
some good, they're tough.
But she said, you beat up another cop, but you're a cop. You shouldn't do that. And he's like, but I can, and I did.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes in Mexico. Is you can and you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you mentioned this when we were watching the interrogation methods of Marco.
Yeah,
Maybe not
seriously.
Not very effective.
So yeah, he literally beats him up, beats the other cop up in that scene. And then, like, right after beating him up, just leaves the car, doesn't ask any questions.
I think from what he said when he said, you don't want to get involved in this, made it very apparent to him that the girl was alive and that Hugo wasn't a bad. I think he knows Hugo. He works with Hugo and knows, yes, the girl was at the party because Hugo didn't say so, but alluded to the fact, and he knows who Hugo is, and Hugo wouldn't kill him.
And he obviously knew he knew straight where to go, though. So, I mean, I would assume that he knew that Hugo took her there. But then why'd he beat him up then? I don't understand that. Like,
I
everyone knew.
think he's just very clearly taking out his anger.
Yeah.
He's just taking out his frustration and anger from the David Tate case.
Yes.
It's just all built up inside of him.
Here's the thing. I don't know if you viewers at home or anybody in the live chat, who do we think was in the car, though? Who do we think gave permission to Hugo, though? Who said Hugo killed this girl?
I think it's just one of the no-name henchman cop guys. Or, I mean, the party, I think it was half cops, half drug guys. I mean, I think it just no-name henchman,
So you don't think it was, like, the captain?
No, I don't think the captain would put himself in that. He would send someone else for the dirty work.
You did say you thought it was Fausto's car that was
It's
driving
very
out.
similar to Fausto's car, but then again, I mean, there's more than one. I think it was like an Escalade or something. There's more than one of those, I'm
And even
sure.
Graciela was rocking one of those, too, I think.
So, I mean, maybe the powerful people in Mexico drive that car, but it did look very familiar. It looked a lot like Fausto's car.
So go buy an Escalade.
Yeah, and then
If you want to be a drug dealer. But I'd agree. I think it's got to be some sort of henchman. I don't think it's going to be El Capitan. I don't think it's going to be, or Fausto for that sake, like anyone high up, because you wouldn't send someone high up to do that type of work.
But he was giving an order. It wasn't like he was doing the killing.
Well, yeah,
he was giving an order.
Right, it's someone higher up, but it's not going to be like the highest up person.
Right, but it was somebody who Hugo was at least
right
intimidated by.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's strange, though, that Marco immediately knew where the girl was. So do a ton of girls go there? Are there a lot of...
I'd assume Marco's had to do it before.
I mean, it was a safe house. There was all sorts of people in there.
Yeah, it wasn't just... He said it was a place for the damned, right?
Yeah, but I'd assume Marco might have had to do this in his past, probably when he first started being a cop. Because, I mean, I'm sure he knows about the corruption. I'm sure all the cops are tempted and told to do this type of stuff, and maybe he himself eventually stopped. But you're a rookie cop.
No, I don't think he ever was involved in it.
I don't. You know, I mean, you don't think Marco was at one point in Hugo's position?
No, I honestly think Marco.
You don't think as a rookie cop, maybe he was forced
I
into
don't know.
doing it?
I think
Maybe,
he was.
but I think he turned the other cheek. Else, I don't think he would get involved with this. I don't think he would pursue this case. What, to justify what he did when he was younger, save the girls now because he couldn't save the other girls?
Maybe what he did. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he was punching Hugo because he was in that position and he.
Want to show him?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he chose a different route. I feel like he had to have been involved in that. You know. I mean, I think Marco's a good guy, except sometimes he's not, you know, with all the infidelity, and I think he's has a rougher past than you would think.
I mean, I don't think he beat up the cop because of anything from the past. I really think that was purely from the David Tate case. But I do think I agree. I think he has to have had a rougher past. I imagine being a cop in El Juarez or in Juarez means you have to have guns. Like, as a rookie cop, I'm sure there's like some older cop who's like, let me tell you what to do. You have to do this. You have to do this. And I'm sure as he ranked up and got older, he was able to maybe do what he wanted. But I think when you start out, you want to stay safe. And maybe he had a family. He has to do certain things and sacrifices for your family.
I think there's a difference between Marco and other cops in the fact that Marco has a very close relationship with Fausto. And Fausto's big in Mexico. Fausto is a huge player there. So maybe his relationship, it seems like they were childhood friends or their families were in connection with one another. Maybe that gets him out of that.
That's a good point.
Because maybe that's why he knows about the safe house is because of Fausto.
And Fausto also says, in 20 years of us being friends, you've never asked for anything. So I can't imagine that if he wouldn't do bad things and get involved with Fausto, that he would do bad things.
Well, I mean, doing henchman work isn't getting yourself indebted. That's doing henchman work, which is what I take this as.
You know, it's still, I feel like by getting indebted by, you know, Fausto, it would mean he would have to do something wrong. You know, how he would repay him wouldn't be in the way he would want to.
Sure.
I would love to see a flashback of them like
as young
15
kids,
years ago or something like that.
Or when they met, like 20 years ago, whatever.
How they became cool. Like why are they cool with each other?
Yeah.
Was that established all?
Well, they did say that their parents both established some sort of drug, like the drug trade together or something like that.
Yeah, when he went to return the money to Fausto. We established, you know, a bond between the two of them.
Right, and it seemed like their parents both, I think, probably established whatever Fausto's running. I think it was their parents together started that.
And Marco wanted out.
Yeah, Marco never wanted to be a part of it. So, yeah, and Ryan Wilson saying we do know Marco had a shadowy past based on his connections with Fausto. But again, we don't know how...
we don't know how involved he was.
We don't know how involved he was because it seems like, as Fausto said, he's always avoided it. And Fausto's kind of not happy about that.
And I think we all have friends. You know, you go to high school, you grow up with people, and then they turn out to be something completely different. But you have a soft spot for them, or you still have that connection because of when you were kids. You know, Fausto wasn't always this crazy drug dealer murderer. Like at one point, he might have been, but at one point he was a kid, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody starts out the same.
Yeah, true. Well, usually, I guess. Unless you have like a crap loan money, someone has none.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah. So anyways, Marco and Sonya end up heading to the monastery. And Hugo was supposed to kill the girl, and we find that she is at the monastery, and she is alive. She still seems possibly drugged up or just so upset over everything that happened, she just can't handle it.
She's probably I think she's equally drugged and depressed.
Yeah, so...
Or in shock.
Or, yeah, in shock. So it's something, but Sonya escorts her out and tries to help her out, and when she seems a little bit nervous about seeing Marco, Sonya is explaining, like, no, he's okay. I mean, I don't know how much really Ava got out of anything or how much she was functioning.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She was so drugged up. Like, did she know? Does she know?
I don't think she...
I don't know.
Does she have, like, flashes of what happened but doesn't understand, or?
I mean, I imagine she understands what happened to her, but I don't know. It's hard to say how drugged up she still is at this point.
And
it's been a few days, right?
And I'm still confused as to how she got to the police. She was picked up by a car with American plates. She was, didn't they say she was at the hospital, and then she was taken to the jail, and then she was taken to the party? So what is this chain of events? How does she get from one place to the other?
Well, I think it's just that's just something that happens, though. I mean, like, you know, with what we saw happen with Adriana's sister, I think that's just what happens. I think I'm still like miffed. One step before that, why she was even back in the regular population after, you know, she left the
Well, because
the Linder Ranch.
she left Mexico to get away from her ex.
Yeah.
And now he's dead.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right. We
he's
did
the
talk
only
about that.
person. So she can be in Mexico and she doesn't fear for her.
You know,
life.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, aren't they eventually going to run out of girls in Juarez if they keep on doing this?
I don't think so, because when you look at Adriana's family, there's like 6 girls.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, okay, or maybe like it's going to become more slim pickings. 'Cause
Yeah, I think so.
it's just like, come on, they're like murdering girls left
Well,
and right.
here's the
just
thing, though.
throwing them out.
Like Marco knew exactly what had happened. He said she was drugged and raped. So I mean, that kind of brings it back. Like he had to have known about this for a while. So he, not to say he was involved, but he knew about
he
it.
knows.
Wasn't doing anything. Maybe he couldn't do anything about it, which but it's like it's like a commonplace thing.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
in the Juarez Police Department.
I agree. I think there's such, they can. I don't know why they're killing these girls, beating them, drugging them, raping them, because in Juarez, these are the powerful men. And not to sound, like I'm typecasting any girls or the guys, but I'm sure there are women out there in Juarez who want to be associated with them, who want the power that they have and want to
Sure.
be involved, and would, this sounds awful, but would willingly go there and probably have sex with them without having to be drugged and beaten and killed.
Well, probably the girl that Stephen Linder was
that he was
trying
gonna try
to
and save.
Yeah, I bet that girl did it on purpose.
But that's what I'm saying. So there's so many girls that are willing to take part in this stuff that's going on at these parties. Why do they feel the need to abduct these girls and hurt them and kill them?
Because
Is it just to establish power? Is it just to...
I don't know, maybe it's like, it's probably a sadist thing, It's
Yeah.
like, I want to be able to do what I want with the girl. I want to be able to have sex with her this way. I want to be able to do this. I want a girl who looks like this. I'm sure it's a very sadist, like super masculine thing,
I know, but it's just... And even to me, it just still blows my mind that somebody like Ava would get in the car to begin with.
I mean, it's just like guys who have so much power, and they're like, well, I don't want a blonde girl tonight. I want a brunette girl tonight, so let's go
Yeah.
abduct a brunette girl for the night,
But
something
Ava
like
had
that.
the opportunity to say no.
I mean, well, not after she was abducted.
No, but I mean to get in that first car.
Well, didn't we say like it was somebody that she knew?
Think
Yeah, we think
we think it may be the new manager at work.
Yeah, I mean that
Yeah,
could be it. That
so
makes sense.
So it
But
seems like it was probably someone she trusted. So.
I kind of wish we had gone back to that, or I mean, if that was a point, we had seen it at least.
I wish we knew who it was, because then maybe it would make more sense. Because to me, living in a place like Juarez, knowing what goes down, knowing how many girls are abducted every day and killed, I would never get into a car with somebody I didn't know to begin with, let alone in Juarez.
So how are you gonna meet new guys?
I'm just gonna be a spinster.
So I mean, I honestly think it had. I agree with you. What your prediction was like 3 weeks ago. I think it had to have been her boss. I think, or a couple
That's
weeks
who
ago.
Danielle is with now. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
but I mean, I think it had to have been her boss, because at first she says no and she changes her mind and says yes. So I think like at first it does run through her mind. I think it really does, and then she thinks about it. She's like, well, I know him. It's got to be safe. So she changes her mind and she's wrong, and she should have trusted her instincts.
So, do we think this is what happened to Daniela as well?
I
I think
yeah,
we have to
totally.
assume that.
It has to have been what happened. to her.
And I really hope that we find her, because poor Adriana. I mean, the look on her face when her and her mother.
Yeah.
Are
I
at
mean,
that
her
bus
mother
stop.
too.
Oh.
As
I
bad.
was gonna cry.
As
Her
cruel
mother.
as her mother is, or as not cruel per se, but as
Stubborn,
close-minded
yeah.
as she is, you have to feel bad for her.
She loves her kids, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure no matter what she says to Adriana, she loves Adriana. I just don't.
Well, I mean, all of her close-mindedness is out of love because she's super religious, and she thinks, from her perspective,
Right.
she thinks that probably Adriana's not going to go to heaven or something like that.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
it's out of love from her perspective. But let's get back to Sonya and Marco and all them with Ava. And we do get this scene with Hugo where Hugo is killed by some other...
Do they kill
man.
him because Ava was taken out of the monastery because they know he didn't kill her?
I think
How
just,
do they know?
I think I don't know how, but I think they just know that he didn't kill her.
Yeah, I think they have to have somehow known that he
I don't know
didn't
how.
do it.
I wonder how.
Because he wasn't a good boy. I think he just wasn't a
Poor
good boy.
Hugo, that the whole time
Hugo's
they
shit on
set
this whole
him up
episode.
for you to like him. He doesn't kill her. He talks about his baby and his wife and diapers. They set him up for
He
somebody.
gets beat up by Marco. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he's getting it from all
And he
ends.
takes it. And the thing is, like, you wanna, you know, you shouldn't like him because he did a kind of a shady thing, but you still do.
Yeah.
And then they just kill him right then and there.
Yeah. But that's how it is in Juarez.
Do we think that was another cop? Who do we think that was? Because
Well,
they were
there was a
driving
whole-
the exact same car.
And I think all those other cars behind were also involved as well. They all, as like a
They all just passed by.
Or, I mean, or maybe it's just one of those things again with Juarez where we see gunshots and people just turn a blind eye because it happens so often.
And because it's better not to get involved.
Right, because it could just be a case of like, you know, I mean, I don't think the other cars were involved. I think it just is a case of they see it all the time. They don't want to be involved. Just like, hey, I just turn a, you know, blind eye to it. Like, I'm not involved. I have nothing to do with it. Don't shoot me. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those cases.
But I think Hugo knew the guy who shot him because they nodded at each
No,
other
I agree
and they
with
had
you.
like a eye.
It was an awkward nod, but it was like, it was like almost I don't know you, but like hey, what's up? But you wouldn't do that to just a car next to
I
you.
would never. No, I don't think anybody would ever just be like, "Hey, you."
So back to the whole Ava thing. Joseph Boza saying usually if it's someone you know, you will get in the vehicle with them, and she did look like she did know the person in the car.
I
So real
know.
quick from Joseph Boza.
I think that's true. But if it turns out that it is somebody she knew,
Right.
if she didn't know them, then
But I think that's going to be the thing. Is like I think we have accurately predicted who it is
yeah.
at this point, and specifically you, Paige, from the previous week.
Mm-hmm.
But so we get Sonya showing up at Marco's place, and Sonya's upset that Marco beat the crap out of
Hugo.
Hugo.
Well,
So
let's just talk about this meeting anyway. She shows up at Marco was already asleep,
Late at night.
very late.
or
and she-
was Marco asleep? Maybe he's
I don't
just,
think he was. I think he said that.
I think he just said that.
But it was late at night.
Yes, late at night.
But it was a very awkward encounter.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna like hook up or something. I don't know why I thought that, but they were just. It was just an awkward exchange, an awkward conversation that we don't normally see between the two of them. Sonia seemed to be like trying to connect with Marco on a new level, and
Yeah.
it felt like that to me.
And Marco kind of like just I think, but the interesting his reaction wasn't like, oh, what are you doing? It was just like, oh, this is Sonia. There was no like, this is weird. It was just like, okay.
I mean, I think it's just that shift in Marco where he's just so angry now.
He doesn't
I think,
care.
yeah, he just doesn't care. He's just angry, and you know, he's going through that stage of depression, of anger, the anger stage of depression. So
Yeah.
And that's
he's in
odd-
anger phase.
And that knife, I mean, obviously, is going to be the knife that he uses to kill
David
Yeah.
Tate.
David Tate.
If he gets to kill David Tate.
But I think like any scene with Sonya is gonna be awkward. She just doesn't know how to interact with people, and
But I felt
and then
like-
Marco's in a place where he's now being nicer to her than when he was before, but he's still just at this point where he doesn't care. He's just like, you're here, I'll deal with you because you're here.
But I didn't feel like it was awkward, and that's why I thought it might have been a sexual thing because it wasn't awkward.
Yeah.
Normally, it's much more awkward. They're sitting having a drink, they're having a conversation. It doesn't feel like
Well, I mean, it was a
one is controlling it.
Well, it was a
over
little
the other.
awkward because she was looking at the drink like she didn't want to actually drink it.
Because I don't think she really drinks.
I think she
much.
does occasionally.
Didn't she drink at the bar?
No, remember he said, "Can I buy you a drink?" And she said, "No."
She just skipped straight to the
Yeah,
next.
she just
step.
skipped straight
But I
to
think they
sex.
had wine when they got back to her house, didn't they? I don't remember.
No, I don't think that she started taking off her clothes and said, "You know how to do this, right?" Is
Speaking
what
of
she
which,
said.
whatever happened, like that never became
A
like
storyline.
a storyline, and the dude showed up in the next episode, but
Yeah.
that whole thing fizzled. I was hope.
I think the storyline is just that's how she is about
establish her
sex.
awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the whole
behavior.
point of it.
I wish it was more. I think it would have been interesting, but I do agree. I think it was just to establish who Sonya is to us.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ryan Whittleson about the whole shooting thing, he's kind of agreeing that he thinks it's just another Wednesday afternoon for them in Juarez. That's just
Yeah.
how it is, just another Wednesday afternoon. Because we also remember those signs that seem shocking. But for
The
them, that's
girls,
just like
yeah.
another day for them. That's just how every day is. But yeah, so Sonya trying to connect with him, and she's doing better. And we've been seeing this this arc with her where she has been slowly learning how to connect with people.
And to break the rules.
Right, and break the rules. Because that's another thing, too, is like now she wants to transport Ava across the border. And Marco says that he can and he knows a way how to, but it's breaking the rules. And she thinks about it. She has a lot of anxiety over it, but she says, okay, let's transport Ava using the whole ambulance. So
The old ambulance trick.
the whole ambulance, get 1, 2.
Seriously, coming full circle. We had an ambulance
Yeah,
in the first episode. We had a missing girl in the
Think it's
first
the same
episode.
dude that
I
was
was
driving
thinking the exact
Charlotte's
same
husband?
thing.
Maybe it might have been the same girl driving Charlotte's husband.
Maybe. I was thinking about that too. I was like, well, Marco is the one who let the ambulance through, and he knows about the fact that ambulances can harvest people. But yeah, so Sonya though finally budging on the ambulance thing and starting to break the rules because before she broke the rules with the gun and not telling Hank about the gun, Marco having a gun. So yeah, just slowly breaking rules, but they do end up transporting Ava, and they end up holding it at Hank's house, and Hank is nice enough to share, I think, Sonya's old room at his place.
And his wife takes care of her. She's a nurse, I'm assuming, or something like that.
And then I guess Hank calls Steve Linder over.
Somebody had to call Stephen Linder. I'm sure he did not just show up out of nowhere.
He just knew.
And I love how he's like, take the boots off.
He's like, my Linder sense is going off. I just knew.
I wonder if
Sorry,
Ava...
my Linder
I wonder if when Ava comes to fully, if she'll recognize or acknowledge or even want Stephen Linder there.
It's an aggressive move by Linder, just getting there,
She's
just winning.
just been-
holding her hand.
She's just been destroyed. Like, she's been literally beaten.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
Give her a
and-
second.
And
Like,
this is someone she doesn't necessarily even know either. It's
Yeah.
just
I
like,
mean, he saved her one time, though. It might be a familiar, like, this is the person who saved me last time. Like, maybe he can help me
Yeah.
feel better
it
this time.
could be, but then the other thing is like, well, she knew him for a total of maybe a week at most.
Yeah, but she saw him after that. You
Yeah.
know, he would come visit. I don't know. Maybe
She kissed his cheek.
he's a familiar person. I don't know.
That's true.
He's
So-
just a familiar face.
Yeah, so hopefully it will be
I don't
a
think-
good face to her, and
Yeah.
it won't be a shock seeing him when she comes to.
I hope he doesn't ask her to marry him when she comes
I'm sure
to.
he won't. He'll wait maybe 5 seconds and
5
then
Yeah,
pop the
maybe 5
question.
seconds.
He's like, I want you to be my bride.
She'd be like,
After
oh Jesus.
Like, are you okay? Yeah, I guess so. Will you marry me?
Yeah.
After that. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see with him what happens.
I don't know.
but-
I'm kind of bored. I gotta say, I'm kind of bored with Linder. I don't know. Like, I feel like his story's kind of.
I feel like
Gone a
after
little flat.
Ava,
Well, I found the story interesting about him with the girl who was wanting to be with Fosso. That I found to be an interesting storyline.
do you think that'll come back into play season 2
I
then?
think it'll come back into play, but when they kind of suddenly dropped it, I agree. I don't find this storyline as interesting.
Yeah, I would like to bring that woman back in, the one who gives him the jobs,
Yeah.
and to find out more. Because otherwise, I feel he's irrelevant.
Yeah, let's get him back to his smuggling and creepy trailer. That's the one he was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But big scene with Marco
Fausto.
is him going to Fausto, and as we saw him with the knife stabbing slowly at the tequila bottle, or maybe it's vodka, some clear alcohol.
liquid. But it
was
Either
Blue
vodka or
Label.
tequila. But it was Blue Label.
I bet it was tequila.
Which I think Blue Label is whiskey.
Oh.
So I think.
It is, I think, but
I
it
don't
was,
know.
looked
But it was
nice.
a Blue
It
Label.
wasn't,
It
it
looked
wasn't like Cuervo.
It wasn't Kamchatka.
Yeah.
It was a nice drink, okay?
Yeah, it was a nice drink. So he ends up going to Fausto and asking Fausto for help for the first time in 20 years. He's never done anything like this. Fausto asking why, because, well, Marco just doesn't give a shit anymore.
I thought he was gonna get whacked.
Yeah, I
With
don't
the second
know.
drink,
I
it's like
didn't.
that's all the mob movies.
I
Yeah.
thought maybe he was going to ask Fausto for help and with the girls.
I thought right away, it was going to be
David
about
Tate?
David Tate.
Did you see?
Yeah,
I
did
was
he?
hoping that Marco would just let it go because he tells Sonya, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Yeah,
And-
but then after that, he was stabbing the knife, so clearly he
But-
wasn't fine.
You know, sometimes when you tell people you're fine, you just take it out somewhere else.
Ryan Whittleson very upset. What a waste of booze.
Funny. Yeah. Party foul on Marco's
Party
part.
foul, especially expensive booze like that.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was going to be this, but I didn't think it was going to be that twist at the end. I thought that it was just Marco wanting to take care of, on his own terms, take care of David Tate, but instead he really wants to take care of David Tate on his own terms. He wants somehow Fausto to get David Tate out of prison so he can murder him himself.
Or doesn't he want to get Marco into prison so he can murder him himself?
Or
Yeah, is Marco
That's
going to
right.
go into the jail? Is that what? Because how else? How do you get David Tate out? You can't get him out of the prison.
And how do you get Marco in? They'll be like,
Yeah, I guess
hey,
at
this
the
is
end,
the
man.
guy you killed his son. Then we can't really.
Yeah, I don't know how you do. Like that's gonna be.
Like Fossa said, it's not impossible.
Well, we know David Tate's a magician, so maybe he's going to teach him the art of magic.
You guys just need to watch more like Sons of Anarchy. Anybody can be killed in prison. Apparently, you
No.
can just make it happen.
Well, no, I mean, Breaking Bad too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I know you can kill someone in prison. I get that. But, I
but
mean,
like getting into
the
the
sake
prison.
of getting, like, Marco into prison and then getting him out.
Maybe transporting David Tate somewhere they can get Marco like
Right.
in the vehicle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, maybe a vehicle transport.
Or maybe they disguise Marco as like a guard.
And Marco's just waiting in the truck.
Or maybe, well,
Watching.
I was gonna say Marco could be like, you know, police. I need to question this guy, but then again, he's so connected to the case. There's
Ooh,
no
maybe
way.
he shaves his mustache like he did with the knife.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's why I was thinking, like, when he was, like, with the knife in the bathroom, like, he's just going to go old school and shave his mustache off.
He did not, though.
He didn't, sadly. So that was what kind of wrapped up the episode with that. But before we wrap up total, let's go ahead and talk about Daniel Fry, because this was actually, I found this to be the most exciting thing in the episode, and I wish they'd gone further with it. So Daniel Fry, he's back at work, not throwing the cupcakes down. I don't want no cupcakes, Adriana. None of that.
I like how she's so supportive, though.
Yeah, Adriana's being really nice.
And
to
who doesn't want cupcakes?
Cupcakes are amazing.
I bet he ate them, too.
He
guarantee
he
Daniel
probably
Fry
stuffed
ate
them on
the
his
cupcakes.
face on the way over. We just didn't see it.
He just didn't want the people at work to pretend that they cared.
Well, how was he? He was driving, but he was in a wheelchair, though. How was that?
But I think it's just that he can't put that much pressure on his body, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But he can still drive. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just can't walk.
Yeah,
but
like
he
maybe
can-
it's one of his legs. Maybe it's just his left leg.
The
and
left
his right
leg,
leg's
not his
fine.
driving leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe his right leg's bad, but he's going
using his
lefted.
left one.
Yeah, he's got some skill. He's learning new driving skills. They're
My
going to
mom
come in
did that
handy in
once.
season 2.
Yeah, it's scary. I wouldn't recommend doing that. So.
So, well, we get them pulling up to the car for the 100th birthday of this lady. And then they pull up, and on her 100th birthday, she's dead.
She's dead. Dead as a doornail.
But honestly, I just thought it was just like, well, I
Old
mean, it's
lady's
your 100th
dead.
birthday, so I mean, it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, there was as they themselves said, oh shit, there's a lot of money there.
Well, we all said that first. We were like, holy. Like, all of us said that. And then right after, that's what Daniel Fry says. And then Adriana says
It was a
too.
lot of holy shitting. In
Yeah,
there.
a lot of it
Yeah.
going on. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Well, my initial appraisal was pegged it at about 120, but it was much less than that.
Yeah, because as you said,
Yeah.
for those of you Breaking Bad fans out there, it looked like more money than Walt
it was like
had.
at least 2 or 3 times that.
Yeah, but, you know, there's logistics.
But
there
maybe,
was
maybe
euros
it's just
in
the
there.
closet space makes it look like more because it's a smaller space.
But I think you Paige, you said it. It was as opposed to hundreds, it was 5s and 20s and.
And
yeah,
euros.
They
euros.
break it up
euros.
smaller to make it look bigger. But yeah, so it turns out that it's $40 million and 20 million euros, which is even more money.
It's like 65 million, they
65
said,
million.
dollars.
I feel like 20 million euros would convert to more than $25 million.
They knew the conversion pretty.
I think it'd be
Fry,
about
Fry
$40
was pretty hip to his
million.
euro
I
conversion.
don't know. All I know is I don't. My first
Maybe
question.
euros have gone down since the last time.
Maybe, but my question was, why is Daniel Fry wheeling around the house checking things out? Like that's.
That was like, yeah.
There's a dead woman. You're gonna have to call the police. Is it really a good idea to get your DNA all over the place?
No, seriously, that's what I was thinking. Well, I mean, she's a 100-year-old lady.
I know, and there's
No
probably
one's
no
gonna
signs.
suspect anything.
Yeah, it's not like they killed her, but.
But my thought was more like, it's a 100-year-old lady. Why do you think there's anything weird going on? Like, I better check the house. Like, oh, yeah, a 100-year-old
for
lady
foul
is
play,
very
yeah.
possibly going to keel over and die.
He was just like, I'm gonna look around. Let me open this door, and then there was just
Yeah.
a million.
There just
millions of
happens to be.
dollars.
It must be foul play. I mean.
I mean,
Well, do we think it was foul play? Do we think she was poisoned, or do we think
do you
she
think
died?
that was her stash there? of her-
Honestly, she must have just died because there's no way she'd leave that money.
she was Graciella's twin sister.
What was Graciella's last name? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And this woman's last name was Quintana.
If that is,
If
we were
that's
just
who it
predicting
is,
that's who it
Millie
was.
Quintana. I can't remember. 'cause
Millie Quintana.
We went over her name so fast in the
Graciela
beginning.
Quintana. Does that sound?
That sounds like
Yeah,
it could be
Graciela
legit.
Quintana. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is her sister, Millie
but
Quintana.
the cops confiscate everything, all the money.
That filled up like a U-Haul sized truck with that cash. I mean,
Mhm.
that's.
But they took it all away. I love how not Tate, Daniel Fry's like, maybe you could throw some out here for the
Yeah, they could have also just
the
like
cripple.
they could have easily just like pocketed one and no one would have been the wiser.
No, but that's illegal. So
Shh.
Daniel Fry literally just got out of doing bad things.
$40 million. You can be like, oh, I'll just pocket one of those.
I'm sure they searched them.
One of them. Yeah, drive away, put it somewhere, drive
If he,
back.
he
and
could
be like,
probably.
oh my
he
God.
could have got like one of those cubes. I mean.
Yeah, just one of those cubes.
Well, he got a little. I mean, Adriana got a little.
Yeah, she got 100 euros.
Yeah, sure, 100
That's like
euros.
that's like I guess by their conversion rate, that's about 120 bucks.
This is why, though, I think that there is a larger Daniel Tate figure person. Maybe it's the Beast that we've heard about earlier, because the way it was mailed to her was very reminiscent of the way things went down with
Yeah.
Fry in the beginning of the season.
Very much so. And how weird is it too that Daniel Fry happens to be the one
To
who
find all that
finds
money.
it, other than the fact that this is a show and they have to do it to keep our interest. How coincidental is it that it happens to be Daniel Fry?
Right, he was put on this fluff piece. 400 words, which is nothing,
About a 100-year-old
about a
woman.
100-year-old woman.
Yeah, nothing. But
So it's so, like, coincidence, I guess.
But yeah, I agree. Because of the euro that was sent to them, that's what really made this, to me, the most interesting thing in this whole episode. And the thing that for me would make season 2. Now I'm curious about season 2 because other cases they're kind of interesting, but to me this is the most interesting thing that I'm like, whoa, what's this gonna hold in season 2?
And this is what ties everything together. This is what brings Charlotte into play. It's what brings Marco and Sonya and all of these different people into play. Because think about it, at the beginning, somebody's demanding money from Charlotte's husband to save the girl from Mexico. Why would David Tate do that?
No, I agree. A lot of the things didn't add up to me with David Tate.
But the only thing that I find tough is like if there obviously there is somebody out there that's above Tate, but I don't really see Tate taking orders from anyone. So I mean,
Do we?
or even a smarter Tate, like a
Maybe
super
it's just two
duper
mass
villain.
murderers at the same time.
Yeah, maybe it was two overlapping stories.
Yeah.
Because then again, why would Tate be bringing Daniel Fry more and more? Why would he call him with the information? You know, I just don't. I feel like there has to
Because
be an
Daniel
overlap.
Fry was connected because
I know, but I just feel with everything else too, he was involved. Daniel Fry was the catalyst. He was the one with the bomb in his car.
yeah,
Tate could still be pulling the strings from prison though. You know.
he's the puppet master.
He could. No, he could be doing that. He would have had to have a lot of connections.
And
though.
he probably planned it all out. Anyways, he knew he was going to. He knew he was going to get
At
caught
the end,
there.
yeah.
And then this scheme is all just.
He was also gave that weird smile when he was walking up to
like
the
a
trial
knowing
thing.
smile,
Yeah.
like he knew it wasn't
maybe
over.
he is the only David Tate still.
Maybe.
Maybe David Tate.
And
still
do we
is-
think even if he had been killed, because say Marco had killed him, or if Marco does kill him, do we think it's just kind of like a domino effect? He has all these things, they're in motion, and they'll happen without him.
Maybe David Tate's gonna be like Hannibal Lecter, where now they have to go to prison to question him about everything happening.
Oh God. I don't know. I mean, the next season can really take a different turn, or it could.
Well, speaking of which, well, before we get to predictions, let's just talk about real quickly what we briefly touched on, which is Daniela not getting off the bus, as we talked about. So that kind of wraps up Adriana's
That was
storyline.
you called that one.
I did. I called it last
Hook,
week,
line,
and I really didn't want it to be true.
No.
I
Yeah.
didn't. She's so sweet and so young, and I guarantee it's what's his name? The cute guy. What'd she call him?
El Jefe.
El Jefe.
The boss.
El Jefe.
The
The
boss.
boss.
I think it's him, and I
Yeah.
think he's the one who did it to Ava, and it makes me really sad that.
I totally agree with that.
But it only made sense watching it that she would be the next one to go.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense why they'd be talking about it.
That was sad, but we did get a awesome Mariachi Bon Jovi cover song in there.
That song was awesome. I
was
really
great.
liked that cover.
Yeah, it was
I-
a good cover.
That was a great cover. I was like, I've heard this song too many times, is what I usually think until I heard that cover. And I
Yeah.
was like, this was a sweet cover.
But do we think they're gonna save Daniela?
Or maybe, I mean, part of me thinks maybe she just is pissed off at the mom, and then she went off like that. I mean, I don't think that's happened. There's maybe a 10% chance that happened, but she was like mad, and then they'll think she's gone, and when we all think she's gone, then she'll just show up.
Are
and be
these
like,
your Vegas odds? That I can place
10,
bets on?
10-1?
Oh,
That 10 to
Lord.
1 on that? Okay. But let's go ahead and talk about some predictions for next week.
Yeah, or not
Next
next
season?
week.
For next season. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I think I think you could be onto something with David Tate. Maybe still pulling strings from there, because this does the whole Euro seems very reminiscent of the style of the serial killer from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be another serial killer, because I mean, or it was just so strange how it was sent.
It was very timely too. You know, it was like the day they found it. So I feel like it has to be somebody out of jail who's watching what's going on, who knows actively what's happening outside of the prison.
Right.
So that's why I think it's not just David Tate. I think maybe David Tate is a player, and maybe he's even the kingpin. I don't even know, but I don't think it's him doing this right now.
What do you think about with Marco though? What do you think is gonna happen with him?
I don't think Marco's going to end up killing David Tate. I really don't. But I hope we come back and he kind of has a change of heart, or something changes, or Alma lets him back into the kids' lives. I don't know. Something just to make him feel like a person again and less like a guy on his own.
Something though with Marco is that he was kind of blaming David Tate for losing his wife, losing his daughters, losing his son. The only thing that David Tate caused was the son thing. He was the one who did the infidelity on his own.
I think they could have come back from the infidelity, and if not, I don't think Alma would have kept the kids away. I think the reason she's keeping them away is because of the amount of damage that's been done to that family. The girls were there while she had a grenade in her hands,
But then Marco saved them all.
but they wouldn't have been there if it weren't for Marco. I think Marco put them in a dangerous position, and had he not done
David,
that,
that's unfair. David Tate put them in the unfair position.
I know, but who can she blame right now?
David Tate.
She could, but who is Marco's blaming David Tate, but Alma, the one person she can take it out on is Marco.
David Tate.
She can't
But
take
maybe
it out on David Tate.
Testify.
but maybe she just she's had enough of
Marco in general?
Yeah, and that just really brought it to a head,
Yeah.
and she's like, I'm out of here.
I just don't like the idea of not allowing a dad to see
No, I
his
agree.
kids,
I think that's
especially when he
awful.
didn't do anything. He cheated on you. Yes, that sucks. That's awful. But those are still his children, and they still need a father figure.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that. I totally
And they're
agree.
old enough to recognize that who their father was, and when you take him away, they're gonna recognize he's gone.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. But I mean, I do hope that Marco gets to see them again. But I mean, question again is he gonna end up killing David Tate?
I don't think so.
Well, what I'm predicting is a big storyline in the next season is going to be the debt that he's going to owe Fausto. I think that's going to be a big storyline, and I think it's going to put them at odds. Whether he kills David Tate or not, Fausto's going to say, Marco, you owe me, and that I think will be a driving force to be Marco versus Fausto, which I think would be kind of interesting.
I do. I think that's a good prediction.
And then the other thing is Charlotte. Charlotte would be the other question.
Ray's dying.
Yeah,
I just placed it on the table.
hope
I think
so.
Ray is too stupid.
Ray, I can't believe he's lost it this long.
Yeah, I think he's too stupid, and I think he's gonna die at the hands of Charlotte. I think she's just gonna take him out. Like, sorry.
I just not care.
I mean, if anyone could do it, it'd be her.
Or
Yeah.
ATF. I
ATF
just don't,
guy, I like
I
that
don't
guy.
know if she's gonna give it up to him, because then she loses all the money. But now she knows he's on her trail, so she could pin it all on Ray.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the ATF guy is using her to get to maybe it could be
Ray.
like a Jesse, like okay, you will give you immunity if you let us get to
No,
whoever.
I very much think that's going to be the case. I
But
think
I
it's going to
hope-
be immunity for doing essentially what Tim was doing.
And maybe to get Fausto as well.
Right, get Fausto. So
I just hope that she spares Caesar.
yeah, I hope Caesar. At the end of the day, I hope Caesar ends up being the king of everything.
A millionaire.
he
A
just-
millionaire. Caesar's got to come out on top of everybody.
I hope he
I
gets
hope
all the
so.
euros.
Yeah, I hope so too.
All the Euros.
So real quick, some comments from you guys before we wrap up. What FC saying that he thinks he disagrees with what we were saying last week about the separation from the girls being self-inflicted. He thinks Alma is deliberately keeping them away because she thinks she's protecting them, bad and sad, and I'd agree with that. And that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier. And then it's Mr. Shawnster pointing out that apparently the actor who plays Stephen Linder is Australian.
What?
What? So guy running there is Australian.
I wonder if he speaks like that with his Australian accent.
Maybe. Maybe he does. Who knows? But guys, thank you so much for joining us. And once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is Klein.
And you can find me, Paige Sullivan, on Twitter and Instagram at Paige Sull.
You can find me, Tommy Rasera, at Instagram at Thomas J.
And guys, that wraps up for this season. But make sure to check out all the other awesome AfterBuzz shows going on right now. Castle with Paige Sullivan.
Yeah, and all the CW shows are coming back this week. So if you're into any of those, tune in.
And Walking Dead starting this Sunday, which I'll be doing. So guys, catch you soon. Check out all the other AfterBuzz shows if you do watch TV. And we'll be back for season 2.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.